Good afternoon. My name is Patrick Hawe. I'm filling in for Derrick today, as Derrick is a little bit under the weather. So everyone, send him your thoughts and prayers and maybe some flowers to his door. I'm an associated member of T3 Trading Group, which is a registered broker-dealer and member of FINRA SIPC. All trades placed by myself are placed through T3 Trading Group. You should carefully consider whether trading is suitable for you in light of your own financial condition. Please pause the video, read this disclosure. Thank you for doing that. And disclosure update. No new swings still, even though market bounce didn't manage to catch anything from Friday. Haven't really sized up in it. I've been trading around. Haven't really sized up in anything either besides for like guys that watch on YouTube. Derrick did the open house just last week, so I didn't do YouTube last week at all. The only thing I've sized up in a little bit is tell. I've been trading around pins. The only thing I really sized up in a little bit is tell. I mentioned I started that very light and was happy to buy it on the way down, which I have been doing so. But nothing really new there for the most part. Okay. So, super bullish day today overall. Super boring day as well for the most part. Let's go over what happened. So this morning we came into a very sizable gap up, plus 1.5%. We've definitely been talking basically throughout this whole year about these gaps that are over a percent. I have more often than not, in a pretty high degree of manner, led to gap and goes in that direction. For the most part, they've been gap and goes to the downside. So like this was probably one, this was one, this might have been one, this was definitely one, this was definitely one, this was definitely one. I mean, just you can see them pretty easily here. But so big gap up today. Futures opened on Sunday. Futures were open yesterday. So futures traded higher like all day yesterday. I think they closed last night around a percent, maybe a little off a percent. And then this morning they were up to around a percent and a half or so. So big gap up this morning. Possibility of a gap and go. Possibility of a fade off the gap. But I think the main thing we really, or at least I really tried to highlight, was the space that we had still to our daily moving averages. Even though it was a percent and a half gap up, we were still arguably a little bit extended on our daily charts. So we pretty much laid out, as we always do every morning, kind of the bullish, bearish, and in some ways neutral scenario. So if it's going to be a bullish gap and goes for the most part. Actually, not even for the most part. Let me take that back. Always, actually, gap and goes always hold their gap, right? Otherwise, it wouldn't really be a gap and go if it fills its gap. So what's it gonna do if it holds its gap? It's not gonna fill the gap right away. It's gonna chop sideways. Usually chop sideways anyway. Today was a bit of even a phenomenon off that. We got bid up right away, but you got to know like if this is going to happen, then what's supposed to happen, and if that doesn't happen, then this might happen. So gap and go, again, not just going to come and fill the gap right away, gonna somehow in some way correct to the 5-minute equilibrium as it always does, usually through time, the first half hour or so. But today we didn't even see it till like 11 or so, or like 10:30, I guess, so like an hour into the day, really. Super strong morning. It was really incredible, honestly. But so bullish scenario, we pretty much said if SPY has room to 380. If SPY is going to work its way up to 380 over the coming days, it really shouldn't lose 370. That doesn't mean it can't poke its head below 370, but not much more than that. And if it does, it should reclaim it. But bullish scenario, gap and go, we said, SPY has room to 380. If it's going to 380, it should hold 370. So, you could have bought 371 and a half, 372. I don't do as much of that just because that's a bit too much room. You can't get too much size on that. And then what happens if we trade down, flush 370, come back up. Not really my style, but it's still, $2 risk, $8 reward or so. So that was the bullish scenario, and bearish would obviously be this is a big, sweet, juicy gap up for bears and sellers to, take advantage of. And if that was going to happen, we were just going to sell down right away. So pretty much right away, super strong, right? And tech led us. Tech was honestly like kind of jaw dropping the strength of Qs this morning. Again, just with how much we were gapping up. And this was definitely a good reason to, trade a little bit less today. Because I was definitely leaning towards the gap and go, but I was definitely expecting some kind of rough chop both ways where they kind of, pretty much anyone that goes long and or short within the first 10 minutes gets stopped out within the first 20 minutes. And then this finally catches up, and then, we eventually like break up and grind higher. I don't see how you really could have predicted just, buy right off the open this morning based off the gap up, but it is what it is. Markets, nothing's impossible, right? We always say that every single day. So I was kind of hands off for the most, for at least like the first hour or so, which sure, like I missed this rally, but and I guess I could have just bought right away seeing the opening strength, but hard to chase a gap up like this. I don't blame you if you didn't, and I don't think that you should feel like you missed this. Like this was so obvious that I had to buy right off the open today. So I don't think it was like that. But again, going back to tech, that's really where we saw the strength off the open. Apple, I mean, look at these first two bars in Apple. Just like, wow, right? Like this looks like Apple like reported earnings or something, honestly. And then Tesla was definitely the star of the day today. Just an absolutely beautiful chart, bit of a rollover into the close. What could have given away to Tesla being the one to go to that was strong? We talked about bullish kind of like daily divergence in Tesla. We were discussing this last week. Just, literally just eyeballing the chart and looking at SPY versus Tesla. And we know how big of a market weight Tesla has, right? It's, up there with Apple and Microsoft and Amazon and people like, not people, stocks like that. So while SPY is getting crushed, making lower lows on the daily, Tesla is actually making a higher low on the daily. That's pretty impressive relative strength. If you have a short bias or whatever, go for it. But technicals are technicals. So you got to respect them. And that could have been something to lean off of today for going to something relatively strong based off the tech strength. But again, I don't blame you if you didn't buy things right off the open today. I don't think that was easy to do. And then that was really it after the morning. Then it was, again, summertime trading, right? Today's first day of summer, 21st of June. Summertime trading all day for the rest of the day. Really not a whole lot to do here. So, I saw some guys saying they were getting chopped up. Someone asked me today, or someone asked the group about, summertime trading in general, like any thoughts about it. Definitely midday is chop land, just sometimes it's not even chop land, it's just like nothing land. Like, it's like you almost think the market is closed. Just like pretty boring action. So really after like 11:30, definitely dial it down. Now, for the most part, now that we're getting into summer, that being said, it's not a normal summer or bull market year, that's for sure. So things definitely could get interesting. And I guess let's take a look at IWM as well. So not a great close for IWM. And I know Derrick mentioned that here when he popped in at the end of the day. So not a great opening. This had, I think, a few people a bit worried off the open when, especially like you see SPY and Q straight up and then IWM straight down. But this did, pretty much V-bottom here, right back up to day highs, 3-day highs. This is that V-bottom kind of pattern I've talked about before where like buying through this high is so hard, but that's why that's all the more reason that it actually ends up being a better buy and works a bit better. And it's important that it does it in a V-bottom like this, like pretty quickly where it just reclaims highs. Anyone that's short is getting stopped out. Anyone that was long and got stopped out has to rebuy. New buyers coming in as well. So that helped confirm the morning strength as well. So this was worrisome. Quick price correction, really more than a time. So SPY and Qs didn't really correct at all, and IWM had a straight price correction while this moving average caught up. But 3-day highs here, that confirms your morning strength. And then again, just really choppy, sloppy price action here with not a fantastic close. So where does that leave us going tomorrow? Or I guess, what other names do we look at and trade today? Let's see here. Because we had a few ideas. SWN, Chewy, PLTR, JD. So we looked at SWN, which announced $1 billion buyback they have a $7.5 billion market cap, so pretty good number there, but this didn't have great follow through. I mentioned 7, kind of like 7 is your Momo level, and then 660 to 650 should hold. So the levels that were supposed to hold held, but no follow through above 7, poked its head above 7 and back down, and that was it really there. So I would just say not a good trade there. Chewy, we discussed Chewy. Yeah, Chewy rolled over a little bit, but was decent. This one was this is more what you would think you would see off of SPY and Qs, maybe not like this tail, but off of SPY and Qs in this gap up. This is kind of more what I was expecting. I was basically had a game plan to be hands off for 20-ish minutes or so and then buy things through highs, and instead it just ripped. But so Chewy definitely buyable in this consolidation here, and that was really it. I mean, if you're not catching this move, I'm not one to come in and chase up here, but I suppose you could have bought. This was like a little bit of a wedge here with this moving average. Finally caught up, curled up, pushed it a little bit, but again, maybe you're getting your risk covered and then you're getting stopped out, and this one rolled over. But Chewy, we discussed this had an upgrade this morning. PLTR got initiated as a buy. This one, similar to market, worked right away off the open. Didn't close fantastic. And then JD I mentioned as a short. JD had negative news. 65 is a level we've been talking about, looking at throughout the past few weeks, honestly. This one I also actually missed as well. I don't know if it triggered off the open or pre-market, right before the open. So I don't know how easy 65 was to get here, but this sold right off the open right away. Down to 62, and then ended up closing not terribly, actually. What does this candle look like? Yeah, so I mean, just price correction back to daily equilibrium, but not a bad close. Not a fantastic close, but not a bad close overall. So that short worked, but was super quick. Now, what did we discuss? Dawn 16. I guess this was okay. Not any momentum here, really, though. No, this is garbage. That's terrible. So yeah, I mean, nothing to. I guess Chewy was best today out of the morning ideas, and then obviously SPY and Qs were pretty strong as well. So where does that lead us going for tomorrow? So again, I think the main kind of best takeaway from the morning meeting wasn't let's buy everything right off the open, but it was more, even though we're gapping up 1.5%, look at where we are on our daily charts. Daily charts outrule 5 and 15-minute charts. That's really what's most important. Trade your 5 and your 15-minute, but trade it based off of where you think it's going on the daily. So even though we're gapping up 1.5%, we're gapping up to say SPY 372. SPY daily ADMA is still up at 380. So hopefully that helped people not short the gap up, at least, just because we're gapping up so much, you got to short this gap up. Not necessarily. But going forward for tomorrow, that certainly is not the same case. So this moving average is going to be a little bit down tomorrow, definitely below 380. So a gap up tomorrow, anywhere into this equilibrium here, definitely a better probability cute short at least versus today for sure. For exactly the reasons I just said, we were extended. Now after today, we're much less extended. Pretty much gonna not be extended at all overnight probably. So a gap up, definitely can think about cute shorts versus 380 for sure. A flat open, that's going to be annoying, and we'll probably need to see how we develop over the next, I guess even like half, I don't know, flat open, if we open flat 375 and this daily ADMA is at like 378, then technically there's still room to the upside. So gap up anywhere towards 380, I think we can look for cute shorts with intraday confirmation. Flat gap, that's pretty annoying. I'm curious to see where its short-term sentiment is after today too. Wouldn't be surprised if it's pretty close, if not overcooked to the upside. But a flat gap, that'll be pretty annoying, and we might have to digest a little bit for like another day or two to either have this moving average really come down and push us down, or to have us digest for a day or two and then break up above it. So flat gap, that's pretty annoying. And then a gap down, I guess we could be looking at longs versus like today's lower. So we'll see how much we gap down by percentage as well. And to point out as well, again, which Derrick pointed out here at the end of the day, not a great close for IWM. So, I mean, like, how did we close for SPY? Pretty good close. Didn't even make it to the daily ADMA. Qs made it to the daily ADMA, closed below it. Pretty good close, though. But again, just back to daily equilibrium. And the IWM, the worst close of them all, also didn't quite make it to the daily ADMA. Pretty hard roll over there. Not a great close for the IWM. Definitely something to pay attention to. Oh, and then also, as Josh had pointed out, I guess TLT closed okay, but some of these other like credit areas, definitely not great closes. Not great closes. HYG, JNK, LQD, not a great close. Is this TLT close real, or am I getting like a weird print? TLT trade, it looks like it's trading up a little bit after hours actually, but it was down today. And then the dollar, something we also have been paying attention to. I mean, if you didn't know this was the dollar and this was just like some stock, this would look great, you know. Run up, possible double top, back to equilibrium, up off equilibrium, pull back to the ADMA. You know, you could be looking at this for a long tomorrow. So definitely some warning signs to pay attention to. And of course, also the VIX closing above 30 VXY, with a pretty arguably bullish looking candle there today. So a bullish day, yes. A bullish day does not make a bullish market. We are still in a daily downtrend. The Fed is still full hawkish. Nothing, the bearish narrative that, you know, a lot of us, I think myself for sure included, the whole don't fight the Fed thing, that is still very, very much true. Nothing has changed there in terms of like the bigger picture narrative. So the technicals could, you know, negate that like they did over here and like they did over here. But for now, this is just a bounce back to equilibrium. So yeah, we'll see how we gap for tomorrow, and we'll see if this was just kind of like a one-day phenomenon or not. And yeah, we'll go from there. So again, bullish day, bearish market, just, you know, a bounce back to equilibrium. We always bounce back to equilibrium, always and forever. So that's just what we did, and now we'll see if we end up pivoting back down off it. And by the good book of technical analysis and the other, you know, the bigger picture narrative, we probably should pivot back down off of it. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, that's all I got, really. Again, pretty boring day. So any questions, comments, complaints, concerns, definitely happy to answer anything. I'm not sure how many questions you guys are going to have, because I probably talked about everything there you know, I don't know. Today was pretty boring, so I don't know if anyone has any questions, but happy to answer any. That's right, Rich. Right on. Thoughts on Airbnb, Amazon, Microsoft? Sure. I'm getting like weird prints after hours here and like everything. Airbnb is not trading 99. It closed at 102. Let me see if I can fix that. Okay, well, Airbnb, I'm getting a weird after hour print right now in Airbnb, but Airbnb closed 102 quarter about. It's so annoying. I hate to just use 100 as a level because it's so obvious. 98 is pretty important too. 100 is obviously a clear level. Really, like every two, like so 102, 100, and 98. This fixed itself. Airbnb, I'm probably gonna say the same thing for all three of these names. Airbnb looks okay, just like the market looks okay, but it is in a daily downtrend. Its moving averages are sloped down. It just bounced back to the moving averages, so definitely a better sell than a buy here. I mean, 100's a level, but like it's definitely not the end of the world if this breaks 100 and ends up making a higher low off of this candle. Then at the same time, 90 is probably a bit too much room to give it to. So I would say 98. Ideally, if this is going to make a higher low, and if it has to break 100, ideally it holds 98. So that's your kind of level that it like really should hold. Other than that, I mean, those are my thoughts. It looks okay, but like, you know, you can't really love it yet. It's still a daily downtrend. Moving averages are sloped down. So my thoughts would be it's probably going to come, it's more likely to come down than up from here. And what you want to see, and that's why I'm giving you this 98 level, what you want to see is a higher low come in off of this candle, and then, you know, a higher low starts a, you know, a progression on the way up or whatever. So yeah, Amazon's got a bit of that positive. So on the on the short term, Amazon has like a bit of that positive divergence that Tesla kind of has, because again, it didn't really make lower lows here when the market did. However, Amazon has had negative divergence from the market for like over a year at this point, while Tesla is just a beast. Tesla's just a beast. It's a monster. It is. So like, I don't want to say just like Tesla, because Amazon's been trash for quite a while now. Is the candle really this wide today, or am I just getting a weird print after hours? I feel like there's no way. Yeah, I guess the tail could be that wide. Actually, no. I don't think this bottom tail is real, right? Yeah, no. Okay, I don't know why Lightspeed's glitching up right now on me. This is not a real tail here to the downside, so it's kind of just like more of a smaller doji up here. I mean, it's just back into equilibrium based on the good book of technical analysis. It's probably, I don't know. I mean, you're kind of basing out here. So on the one hand, 101. Is this 101 or like 102? Let me look at my chart real quick. kind of like 102, 101.50. It's not like perfect here, but on the one hand, you got a nice base. This is basing out, and you really want to see this take back 115. On the other hand, the more this tests the level, the more it's likely to break. So you really don't want to see this lose 105 again, probably. Actually, yeah, definitely. So 105 on the downside. Don't want to see it under that. Could even consider shorting it under 105. And then on the upside, you want to see this same thing as anything else, really. After, we had our downside extension. Now we had our bounce. Now bulls want to see higher lows come in, and bears want to see us just fail back down in the coming week or so. So that's Amazon 105 on the downside, 115 on the upside, kind of just in neutral land right now. And then Microsoft. Same thing, a bit better, definitely better looking than SPY in this like final down move here. So nice relative strength there. What is this, 250? Sorry, it's hard for me to see the levels when I'm looking at like the VTF screen when I do this sometimes. Yeah, 255. So clearly 255 a level. Clearly, I mean, clear as day here, right? So 255 on the upside, and then if it can get through that, pretty much 260 next, although not ideal that this 21's getting below that 260. But again, if the market is going to hold 380 to the upside and pivot back down, and bears are going to be the winner of the upcoming week or two, this probably has a hard time getting above this 255. So 255 on the upside and 250 on the downside. And similar to 250 here, kind of like Airbnb 100, like it could lose 250, still make a higher low, regain 250 and be okay. So I would hate for you to just, stop yourself short or like stop yourself out below 250. What's the close here? Like 247 and a half. I would say 247 and a half, similar to Airbnb 98. That's what it really shouldn't lose. And that should be like the do or die, make a higher low pivot off of. So yeah, hope that helps. I don't know if that was like a little confusing or not, but Pat, intraday, do you recommend VIX over UVXY if we have access to it? Yes. Yes. I don't think it's a huge. I mean, yeah. I can't not say yes to that for sure. UVXY is like not terrible to look at intraday, but yeah, if you got VIX, sure. I just don't. I have it on TradingView up live every day, but it's just in like a tab. I don't dedicate a whole screen to it. But yeah, I would definitely recommend having VIX up over UVXY if you can. Any other questions or anything? I see on YouTube, Meta got killed today. Yeah, Zuckerberg, who's that? Who's up? Zuckerberg had some not so great comments about them not making money until 2024 about I forget what it was, even Instagram. I can't remember exactly what it was, but some form of business they were expected to make money sooner, and they're not going to make money until 2024. So that we think was the reason they definitely mainly sold Meta. And then thanks for reminding me on YouTube as well. Yeah, Powell testifies at 9:30 tomorrow. Not exactly sure what it's about. Or I forget what it's about, I should say. Amazon looks like a possible head and shoulders on the daily chart. not sure I see your Head and Shoulders. I don't really see anything in Amazon besides it's going to possibly try and form like a kind of like a bigger wedge here with a base off of that 101. And then we'll see it also technically should make lower highs here, and then it's going to break one way or the other eventually. So I don't know about a Head and Shoulders. We had a double bottom here. That double bottom fulfilled its full pattern pretty much at the high on this day. Back to support. Support held. Support's holding for now. But the more times support is tested, the more likely it's going to break. So this 101 level becomes more likely of a breakdown. And then you might be able to cheat on that at 105. Below 105, I'd be careful on Amazon. Yeah, so I don't know if Powell's words tomorrow are even really going to matter too much, or if he even talks about the economy at all. Ever use the weekly or monthly VWAPs? I don't, just because Lightspeed doesn't have them. I've seen charts of them. I've seen those charts. I've seen them bounce off those levels and everything, so I definitely don't think it's a bad thing to look at. Personally, I just don't. But yeah, definitely for sure. You could probably do it on TradingView somehow as well. I like TradingView a lot too. That's where I do like my more complicated charting. But yeah, I've definitely seen levels like that hold. Or people will do like VWAP since the 08 bottom, VWAP since the COVID bottom, like things like that as well. I've seen work pretty well at certain times. So yeah. Anything else, or happy to wrap it up early again? Pretty boring trading session overall for the most part. And if you're mad at yourself for missing the up move, I wouldn't be, because again, there's always more opportunities. And we're still in a bear market, so I wouldn't be like too concerned yet. If this, if that was the bottom on Friday, there's still going to be a higher low. The chart's going to build itself out. Patterns, rinse and repeat, and everything like that. So yeah, we'll see how we gap tomorrow, and we'll go from there. Have a good night, everybody.